Barreda. I come from Itaca. We are in manufacturers. We belong to a big group, which is Altadia's group. We are the leaders of ceramic tile coatings, and we have more than 3,700 employees. We have a turnover of 1.3 billion euros, and Itaca provides the group more than 20,000 tons of ink every year. Okay, so I have joined some months ago to Itaca. I come from 3D printing industry, but I have started at Itaca to become a program manager from Textile, and we help our fabrics manufacturers to digitize their production processes.
Fantastic, thank you. And if you pass the microphone that way, we'll get another introduction.
Hello and good afternoon to all of you. My name is Josef Guggenberger. I'm from the company Zimmer in Austria. Zimmer in Austria is a typical manufacturer of textile machinery since nearly 150 years now. We have two companies in Austria. One company is based in Klagenfurt. They are producing traditional screen printers, dryers and coating machines. And the second company in Kufstein, where I am based, we are producing digital printers for different kind of fabrics. Probably we are not the typical machine manufacturer for the fashion industry, but everything what we do is we are doing special applications, especially printing on heavy textiles like upholstery, carpets, terry towels, doormats, and all these things. This is our way and our approach to the digital printing industry in the textile. And so we are, on the one hand, I'm one of the OEMs here, and we are producing machines, but we are also developing a lot on the process side. We have quite a big technology center in Kufstein, and we try to optimize and we try to find specific printing processes for our customers' needs.
Perfect. And maybe if oh, there we go. Okay, yeah.
Hello everyone, good afternoon. My name is Fabio Tallarico, and I started here at Seiko since last year March as a technical support engineer. I'm kind of a little bit new to the inkjet industry. I have a textile engineering background, so I used to work in in different textile companies, and also had some contact with digital printing on textiles during my studies. And one of the reasons why I started here is because it's definitely very interesting, and of course for Seiko to enter the textile market. And for this approach, it's an advantage, let's say, to have someone who knows the surface, the textiles, and not only the ink system, the printheads, and the other electronics. And this is our goal in Seiko to enter the market, and I try to support as much as possible my team. I learn a lot, and I will still learn a lot from my colleague Yamashita-san. And I'm happy to be here and to start this textile panel discussion.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much to everybody for intros. I think while Fabio, you've got the mic there, I think before we dive into the topic, it's my first time at the Seiko Open Week. Why don't you talk a bit about why we're here and what the goal is for this event?
Yes, sure. This is my second Seiko Open Week, and the Seiko Open Week is, in my opinion, a very good chance to connect with different kind of people from different kind of companies. We have these workshops today, we have the panel discussion, we have our laboratory with different kind of machines, technologies. We have our showroom to show what our printhead can do, which we have a variety of printheads, small printheads, big printheads. We can print on wood, on plastic, on different kind of surfaces, and that's what we want to show here from our side, from our company, and what we can offer. Also, of course, to exchange knowledge, to help other people who are integrators or ink manufacturers to connect with other people to improve, to get to the goal where we want to go. Also in a sustainable aspect, that everyone wants to improve this one as well. And I think that this is a very good opportunity to attend, and I'm very happy that a lot of people showed up today.
Yeah, absolutely. Great turnout, great, I believe, more than last year in terms of attendance, I think it seems like. Yeah, great. And Fabio, I'll stay with you for a moment there as we get into the textile topic. As you were saying when you were introducing yourself, your background is in textile, and I know from conversations we've had at Futureprint with Seiko, over the last couple of years, the importance of textile as a future market of priority. Why is that? Tell us a little bit about why the textile market is such an important market.
So the textile market is very different than, let's say, for example, compared to the ceramic market. Maybe most of the people don't know why it is so complicated. Some of you maybe know the difference between weaving and knitting, some of you don't. And this is just like the basics, let's say. And it's very important to push this market because it has such a huge potential. And it's not like that you just try to print on cotton and that's it. Textile is just more than cotton. You have so many different kind of fibers. You have different kind of pre-treatments, post-treatments. You need different type of inks for each fiber. And also when you have one fiber or one fabric, like a woven fabric, you have different kind of bindings, which is influencing the surface of the fabric. And these are all like things which I think many people don't know. For example, also the for the printing, if the printing itself is not the best result, how can you improve it? Can you maybe change something about the fabric, the fiber, the binding structure? Can you do it a little bit more shiny effect, like you can use cotton to make it look like silk or something like that? So these are many points, factors which many people don't know. And also you you just have to know this, in my opinion, because when you just go blind and say, okay, I have this fabric, I will just print it and it will look perfectly, it's not going that way. Because if it would be so easy, then we would not try to push right now to enter the textile market.
Fantastic. And I think we'll go to Joseph, if that's all right. I think just in our pre-discussion, we talked a little bit about, the general market trends, themes in the market. We were talking about ITMA, where we've just been. We're seeing a lot of trends in the market. Can you give us your thoughts on the current kind of state of textile and digital and textile?
Yes, last week there was the ITMA show in Milano, and it was a great show. It was a fantastic show, and when I have to compare it a little bit with the previous shows, I mean, in the meantime, I was quite a long time in the market now, and this was my ITMA number 7. Wow. ITMA is coming up every 4 years. First ITMA I was in Paris, it was 1999, and the traditional printing machines like rotary screen printing and these things were still dominating. And when you compare it to the ITMA nowadays, you can see probably 1, 2, or 3 booths where you can see part of a rotary printer or a rotary printer. And I would say in Milano we had between 55 and 60 companies showing their digital textile printers. So here you can see a certain transformation. But what is interesting to this, you have a lot of machine manufacturers for digital printing, but probably the penetration in the market is still slightly below 10%, I would say. This means 9 to 10% probably are printed digitally. The rest is still printed with any type of screen printing. So this is one thing what is interesting and what is changing. What I also could observe is that there is a certain interest or a certain request in the market on double-sided printing. You had, I would say, at least 4 companies showing machines which could print on both sides, on the back side and on the front side simultaneously. You can see a lot of companies showing their sustainable products. What does this mean? This is a good question. I'm sure there are a lot of very good activities going into this direction. You have to look into the detail, and there are a lot of companies that are really very innovative. They have new products on the market, like my colleague from Itaca, but probably you also have to watch it very carefully, because it's also a very big marketing slogan. So, okay, when you are going into the ITMA show, especially into the halls where you can see the printing machines, probably if you are just looking for a printer, it would be, from my point of view, it would be very difficult to find the right one, because you have a lot of machines available for typical fashion printing, and you have a lot of machines available for printing on cotton with reactive, and they are doing a very good job, no doubt about this. The difference to Zimmer is that, as I said before, that we are concentrating on our niche markets. We are concentrating our specialities like heavy textiles, pigment printing, and also camouflage printing. We had a lot of requests for camouflage printing. Why is this a good topic for Zimmer? Because it requires a special knowledge. And I would say within the last 2 to 3 years, we did a lot of R&D work, and especially camouflage printing is not just printing any type of a design onto a fabric. You also have to think about IR absorption and reflection, and this is one thing. I would say not every vendor on the exhibition is a specialist on this, and this makes us probably a little bit unique for specialities.
Yeah, really interesting. And I think just going back there to talking about how much of that market is digital, kind of under 10%, I believe you were saying.
Probably 9 to 10.
Yeah, and so, from your perspective, to start with, and then we'll bring in our other panelists. I think from being kind of pioneers in the textile print technology space on the analog side, and then going into digital, why aren't we seeing kind of quicker growth? What are the kind of the barriers there to growing digital in the textile space?
This is a very good question, and I was thinking several times about this. As Fabio said before, when you have a look, for instance, when you have a look into the ceramic industry, then most probably nearly 100% is digital right now. What makes it difficult in textile? Difficult in textile is that you have a very wide variation of different fabrics, a wide variation of different chemicals, and a very wide variation in specifications, because the customers would like to, or nearly every customer has its own specifications, and it is quite difficult to reach all the specifications what they are used from the traditional way of printing. This is probably one aspect. The other aspect, of course, is that the textile market is a traditional market and has a long history, and then probably a change is not so simple to achieve. But mainly I would say it's related to specifications. Printing should look like dyeing, and we all know from the digital printing industry that this is very difficult to achieve. But somehow you have to achieve to be able to print all the different type of designs. and then they also would like to get a very good color yield, perfect fastnesses regarding light fastness, rub fastness, wash fastnesses, and these things, and everything together makes it quite complicated for a quick push or quick move into the digital market, in the digital printing.
Great, and David, I think if we get you to kind of weigh in on that, I think as Josef and Fabio have both touched on the kind of differences with ceramics as an example. I know that Itaca were kind of pioneers in that space as well, and now in the textile space. What's your thoughts on why we're not seeing quicker growth, or how we what the opportunities are for more growth on the digital side?
Yes, we think that the ceramic case was an special one because we had a connected manufacturing line. That is not the case of textile. We have many technologies in inks and in printing, and well, the digital revolution of ceramics was between the OEMs, printheads manufacturer and inks manufacturers. All were located in Europe. The location was quite concentrated, and maybe this was a boosting for do this quick change. But it's more difficult to do this in textile.
Yeah.
But if we have grown from ceramics to textile, it's because there is a big opportunity to improve in textile in order to improve to optimize the process and become more sustainable, of course.
Absolutely, and definitely we'll touch more on the sustainability topic as well. But maybe if we get Fabio, again from a textile background, your thoughts on those challenges in inkjet for textile.
So the challenges are that, as I said before, textile is not just like plastic or metal or whatever. You have fibers sticking out from the fabric. You have a little bit like dust, or you need like higher gap between the nozzle plate and the fabric, which you don't have between, for example, a piece of paper. And this is what it's making a little bit more difficult. And not every printhead has the same characteristics or specifications. So if you have a printhead which is having the perfect condition but doesn't have enough power for jetting, or doesn't have enough power to jet from 10 or 15 millimeter, then it's you cannot use it for the textile. So you have to improve and evaluate again. You have to do research. You have to investigate, and these are some problems I think you don't see on other markets.
Mm. Yeah, and I think we've talked about the challenges, but as we were saying earlier, the potential is there, the opportunities are there, for digital in inkjet, whether it's perhaps that print on demand, that customization. I think particularly after COVID, people want to take more control of that production, or when they realise that there can be that sudden disruption that you're not expecting. So to what extent are brands, retailers, kind of pushing that digital production from your perspective? Is there kind of that pressure to digitalize?
From the brands?
From brands, yeah, from retailers. Is there appetite for those? We're looking at, we were talking earlier about faster fashion cycles, that kind of thing.
Yes, definitely. So I mean, of course, when you hear textile, a lot of people are thinking for the fashion industry. The fashion industry is changing a lot. A lot is going on into fast fashion, to produce as much as possible. Many people, they want many different kind of designs. They want to have it quick. That's why there is kind of a push into the digital printing for textiles, because then nowadays you can just upload a design for your T-shirt. You can order it online, and they will print it on demand, and then you get your fabric or your textile. So there's definitely a change, but on the other side, you also have to think about the sustainable ways. That the more you print or the more you offer, the more you have waste, of course. And this is what I think that most producers or the textile markets also considering going into a more sustainable way to reduce the energy, the costs, to have or to use more water-based inks, which you again have the next problem that the water-based inks are not as brilliant or have the same characteristics as other inks for cotton or polyester. So then you face another challenge, and then again it's slowing down the whole process.
David or Joseph, can I get either of you to weigh in on that in terms of what, how much, pressure, for lack of a better term, we're getting, how much push there is from those brands, those retailers to go digital in that respect?
There is a lot of pressure from our customers to reduce the footprint, so-called, because what is interesting nowadays it is interesting to reduce the energy consumption and the water consumption, because both costs a lot of money, and of course it is not everywhere available. So I think when it comes to sustainability, on the one hand we have to provide simple processes. We have to provide one-stage processes, because the customers, they do not want to add on a pre-treatment, dry it, then printing, drying, and then fixation, washing and drying. So this means you have to dry the fabric for 3 times. Finally, when you are printing on a traditional way on cotton, and this is something I think a lot of companies are thinking about a change in this area, also coming from the dye stuff and ink manufacturers. We have to find a single stage process. We have to find a simple process which reduces the water consumption especially, and also the energy consumption dramatically. This is one thing. The second thing is, when it comes to sustainability, from my point of view, we have to reduce the waste, because we all know that a lot of garments are produced which are never used. They are just produced for being available, and at the end of the season they waste it. This is another thing. And the third thing is, when it comes to fast fashion, okay, fast is okay, printing on demand is okay, printing on demand is fine, and I think it is a very good opportunity for the digital printing market to deliver really individual products which are ordered by the customer with, let's say, they are producing it only once for one specific customer, but we have to find a way to produce high quality products which are used for a longer period of time. And this thing and these 3 things I think are very important to get the textile business a little bit more sustainable.
Fantastic. And then I think a good chance then to go to David. I think on the ink side, from Itaca's perspective, pigment inks taking over is what we hear from Itaca. Why don't you talk a little bit about those inks, your pigment inks, and the benefits?
Yes, this change from analogic to digital can be driven by this sustainability, and pigment inks are in the focus of this sustainability change. Our company was involved in I want to mention, because Josef was mentioning again, what is sustainable? Let's put numbers on this, and because we were involved in a sustainability study in 2020 that was run by an external consultancy called Technical Advice, in which we measure the resource consumptions of manufacturing the same fabric with different technologies and different inks. We evaluate analogic technology and digital technology, and then reactive and pigment inks. the results were amazing because if you compare the analogic reactive to digital pigment, the improvement, well, the reduction of water consumption is 87%, and the reduction of energy is 65%. So the optimization, the consumption reduction is significant. But we have done another step, and at ITMA we have launched another new technology of inks that does not need any pre or post treatment. These new inks have been in production in Sublitex from Grupo Mirolio, and they have been 2 years there production with these inks, fabrics without any pre or post treatment. And the optimization is even more. On top of pigment inks, with this new generation of inks, you can reduce the 50% of your energy consumption. So for us is very important to deliver improvements and getting all the process more sustainable.
So really significant reductions there, but also it's driving that efficiency as well. If you don't need those, that simplifying that process, reducing energy, all these things do contribute, don't they, to being more sustainable. It's not just the technology; it's the entire process and how much you're driving efficiency, which is also good for business, I guess.
Of course. Well, and also the idea of having a single process, okay, because you don't need to pre-treat, dry, and stock, and then again print, dry, and stock. So you can have one connected line that is print, dry, and that's it. You don't need to manage this stock.
And what about, and I have to admit, might have probably come across already, but I'm not, hugely technical in my background. So maybe you could talk a little bit about the pigment inks in terms of, and I'll bring Fabio in on this as well, in terms of, the print heads, what's needed to get the most out of those pigment inks, some of the challenges that you need to overcome when you're actually, jetting the ink.
Yes. So pigment inks have advantages, but there are also technical challenges to solve. And one ink issue is the ink stability due to the sedimentation. Okay, pigment inks are dispersion of solid pigments, and the effect of sinking these solid particles into the bottom, clustering, it's a problem of ink stability. So this can only be solved with agitation or stirring. So that's why the technologies from printheads that recirculate the ink allow this stirring of the ink, and having this stirring as close as possible as nozzle plate makes it possible using these pigment inks to use it and having stability of ink until the end of the printer circuit.
Perfect. And Fabio, then I'll bring you in on that in terms of what David was talking about then on the that recirculation, what he was saying about the pigment inks and those challenges and how we overcome those challenges from the printhead perspective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So as David already mentioned, the pigment ink is also not an easy thing for the printheads, because you need, as he already said, you have the sedimentation, so you definitely need the recirculation, which we have with our RC1536 to keep the ink flowing, let's say, because if you use it for another one, the 1024 HG, it would not work. So, but this is not the only point. It's also about the flow rate, to have the exact flow rate. We are approaching approximately like 100 milliliter per minute, and if this for some inks, I don't know, because like I'm not a chemist, but if it would be too much for this kind of ink, it would also be not so good, because then you have shear stress and the ink is changing chemically, or I don't know what's happening inside. So this is the second point, and this is also a big challenge, and is also slowing down a little bit the process. Then you have to communicate or be in contact with the ink manufacturer, and I strongly believe that it's not easy to develop the perfect ink and change every time the formulation, and so this is one of the reasons.
Fantastic. And then I think maybe if we go to a machinery manufacturer's kind of point of view on that, if we get that mic over to over to Josef, I think from working with Seiko, working with Seiko heads, let's get your take on it.
Yeah, for us as Zimmer, as I said before, it is important to get some specific features from the printhead. On the one hand, I said we are also going into the direction of pigment printing, therefore recirculation, and also a non-wetting nozzle surface is important. And from our side, we also have to put a lot of efforts into all the maintenance and cleaning cycles. We have to develop it very carefully to keep the nozzles alive, because pigment inks are not easy to handle. And on the second thing is why we are running our machines with this printhead now, is that this printhead is able to deliver really quite a big amount of ink. You can run the printhead with quite large drop sizes, and this gives us the capability to apply enough ink onto the heavy textiles, especially for printing on terry towels, carpets, upholstery, and these things. So both characteristics, printing with pigments and printing on heavy textiles, is perfect for us as Zimmer.
Fantastic. And I guess is that a barrier in terms of the wider adoption of pigment inks, in terms of having those right printheads to manage the different inks? I'm sure you've worked with lots of different inks, and it's about getting it right, I suppose.
Of course, we have to print with all different kind of inks. If it is acid disperse, sublimation, cationic pigments, also reactive, and but the pigment definitely is the most difficult ink to handle. And if you can handle pigments, then it should be possible to run everything else too.
And David, if I bring you on that, do you agree with that? Obviously, from the ink perspective, there's perhaps challenges is there in the management, but it's about that collaborative process and having the right partners from machine to printhead to getting it right, and then it really can, as we said on, as Itaca says, pigment take over kind of thing.
Yes. Well, so as Fabio was saying before, when chemically you design a ink, you have to find a balance between behavior of the ink into the printer, the quality that you're delivering to the garment. So you need this collaboration, of course, with OEMs, with printheads manufacturers, in order to find the best technical solution. Because many times you find a technical wall in which you can go through, and maybe an OEM or a printhead technology can find a workaround to make a technical solution possible, and having the benefits that this technical solution can present. So for us it's really important, the circulation, for the shear stress, for the stirring the ink, and having this behavior of inside the printhead, because we need to accomplish some special requirements to not film forming into the nozzle plate. We have to have a good open time in order to make it ready for production, because the servicing in production, we know that it's important.
Yes, please.
One sentence, please. When we were talking a lot about pigment printing right now, and if you have time, you can see 2 samples printed on the Zimmer machine in here. It is inside these 2 rooms, and I think this shows it very clearly what's possible today, and we think it is a very good print with pigment, and it's very with a good brightness, and please just have a look at the samples.
Fantastic. Yeah, everybody make sure you go and check that out. I think in a minute I'll open it up. I'm sure there'll be a couple of questions, but perhaps Fabio, if we just go to you from a kind of perspective of, you know, we've heard a lot in the last few answers about the importance of the collaborative process in this market. Maybe from Seiko's perspective, you know, your approach to that technical relationship and that commercial relationship with your partners. How do you approach working with Seiko's partners, particularly as people that might want to be entering a new market like textiles?
Well, yes, of course we organize such events like the Open Week. So this is one of the main reasons. We are trying to attend as much exhibitions as possible, to be there with our own machines, with our own printheads, and with other companies to cooperate and show the machines of them. Of course, to go to new textile conferences, exhibitions, to be a visitor, to show them, okay, Seiko is going in this direction. They are interested in, and they want to enter this market, and we are open for collaborations. We have people with a textile knowledge, someone who has the knowledge of the electronics of the printhead, someone who has another knowledge. We can help them to find a good ink manufacturer, a partner. So this is our way to go from Seiko's side.
Fantastic. Well, I think if there's anybody that has any questions for any of our panelists, now would be a good time to open it up and okay, we've got one back there. Yeah.
Thanks for the nice round. Harald Jansen from DuPont. And my question goes to all 3 of us, maybe starting on the right to left. We hear a lot about jettable pre-treatments in the textile industry in the last months. What's your point of view about this? Is it technically possible, and does it make sense?
And does it?
Does it make sense?
Technical possible, yes. I think one day, yes. If we are going into, I mean, everything is going water-based. If it's maybe it contains too much water, then it's technically not possible to jet, because you have too much water. So this is again something on the chemical side, that they have to reformulate the pre-treatment or the liquid, which is not easy. And the second question is if it makes sense. In my opinion, yes, because if you have it's just like about saving fabric or energy, because if you have like a long fabric, I don't know, 5 times 5 meter, and you pre-treat the whole fabric, and then you cut out only the main part of the shirt or whatever, and then you sew it together, then you have the other part of the fabric which is thrown away. With the pre-treatment, you can directly, like a print, only pre-treat this section which you want, and then you print on it, and then you have only this section. So in my opinion, it does make sense.
Okay, from our point of view, we think that it's possible, because in our investigations we have seen that it's feasible to jet this pre-treatment with an acceptable level of quality. But now we are improving this quality of pre-treatment, because in some applications can have can make sense if the discharge volume is not too high. But we think it's possible, because we have proven the feasibility.
Okay, from the machinery side, I think I have a very clear opinion. Of course, it would be the best version if you do not need any pre-treatment. If it's realistic or not, we will see. but printing without any pre-treatment gives you a lot of advantages. If you need the pre-treatment which is digitally printed onto the fabric, then you always have the risk that there will be a cross-contamination between the pre-treatment and the ink, because what should the pre-treatment do? It should give you a kind of coagulation of the ink when it hits the fabrics, just to keep the position. And so if you have a cross-contamination between the pre-treatment and the ink, then this will give you a lot of problems on your print head, of course. So probably it might be required that we have to think about different concepts, and that we have to think about how to separate the pre-treatment printing from the ink printing. Probably we need a distance in between to avoid any cross-contamination, and this we will see in the future.
Okay, any other questions from anyone in the audience for any of our panelists?
Just one question. You mentioned a lot about sustainability, and this year the economy's been pretty awful. In your view, are economic concerns always going to be environmental concerns? I don't know what's the answer. Or is it a temporary thing?
I mean, sustainable technology, this is one thing, as I said before, but you have to put a lot of efforts in this, in all these details to get really an improvement. Yeah, not everybody who is claiming his technology is sustainable. It is really sustainable. Probably it's the same what we had the past 10 or 20 years. But of course, when you try to improve your processes, that you are simplifying it, and you are reducing the consumption of water, and you're reducing the consumption of energy, then of course it has, on the one hand, it has a positive effect on environmental pollution. This is clear. This is very popular today. Everybody wants to get some green garments. Everybody wants to buy something which is good for the environment. It's also good from the marketing side. But finally, and last but not least, it always comes down to costs. Reducing processes also means reducing costs. And so I think it is a good opportunity for the digital printing industry to get some more improvements in this, and it will be probably much simpler to achieve this goal in combination with digital printing, because all the analog processes are that well established, and I think these processes are much more difficult to change than changing a digital printing process, because this is a let's say, here you have innovation, here you have a lot of R&D work, and here you have a lot of different mindsets existing in the market, and so I think we can make a big step forward.
From our side, we think that sustainability always will be on the table, maybe more or less, with more or less intensity, but we think it will be there. So, as Josef was saying, if you link this sustainability with optimization of cost and enabling some missing resource, because if you don't have access to water in your country, you are enabling to manufacture with another technology in this country. And if we see some changes in some locations, I think this sustainability is an optimization of the production, and also is an enabler for other ones to break these barriers and having the possibility to produce these textiles.
I don't actually know what to add because it was already
Perfectly
well
said
spoken.
already.
Yes. So.
Any other questions from anybody for any of the panelists? Last chance? No? Okay. Thank you so much to Joseph, David, and Fabio for being our panelists today, and thank you to all of you. And thank you. Thank you.